Sometimes, God uses the most unexpected, even unexplainable ways to capture our attention. He knows exactly how to get through to us, especially when we've grown too comfortable in our spiritual lives, or if we've become too distracted by the noise of life. This was the case for Moses in one of the most unforgettable encounters in the Bible. His encounter with the burning bush, an encounter that would change not only his life, but the destiny of an entire nation. This encounter happened at a time when Moses' life felt stagnant and without purpose, as narrated in the book of Exodus chapter 3. You see, Moses had grown up as a prince in Pharaoh's palace, adopted by Pharaoh's daughter and raised with privilege and influence. Yet deep down, Moses never forgot his true heritage as a Hebrew. One day, Moses saw an Egyptian mistreating a Hebrew slave, and his anger boiled over, leading to him killing the Egyptian. When word got out, Pharaoh sought to kill Moses, forcing him to flee Egypt and run to the wilderness in Midian. Life after leaving Egypt wasn't easy for Moses. Gone was his lavish life in Pharaoh's palace and the identity he once carried as a prince of Egypt. Moses found himself in the rugged wilderness of Midian, living an ordinary, quiet life, believing that his story of significance was over. Day after day, Moses tended sheep that weren't even his own. They belonged to his father-in-law, Jethro. This simple routine gave Moses plenty of time to reflect on his failures and the mistakes that had led him to the wilderness. Moses wrestled with a haunting sense of purposelessness, unsure if his life would ever matter again, or if the God of his ancestors had completely forgotten about him. But God wasn't done with him yet. One day, as Moses led his flock to the far side of the desert, he came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There, something unusual caught his eye, a bush engulfed in flames but not burning up. Moses couldn't ignore it, and curiosity pulled him closer. The Bible says that as Moses approached the burning bush, the voice of God suddenly called out from the midst of the bush, "Moses! Moses!" Trembling, Moses replied, "Here I am." Then came a command from God that would forever mark this moment as holy. "Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals because you are standing on holy ground." Moses quickly removed his sandals, realizing he was in the presence of something far greater than himself. Then God introduced himself. "I am the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Overwhelmed, Moses hid his face, afraid to look at God. It was then that God revealed his plan. He had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt and had chosen Moses to lead them out of bondage. But Moses, filled with doubt and insecurity, questioned his worthiness. Moses told God that he was a nobody, so there was no way he could possibly face the most powerful ruler in Egypt at the time. Yet God reassured him, "I will be with you." Even as Moses poured out his fears, God did not change his mind. He knew Moses' insecurities, his stutter, and his doubts, but none of these disqualified him from the calling God had placed on his life. Moses continued to protest, terrified of the task ahead. He worried that the Israelites would not believe him, that Pharaoh would mock him, and that his words would fail him. But God patiently equipped him, promising to give him the words to say and even miraculous signs to perform. Moses' fear was real, but so was God's presence. The Lord made it clear that the success of this mission didn't depend on Moses' ability, but on God's power working through him. Ultimately, God fulfilled his promise. Just as he had assured Moses at the burning bush, he was with him every step of the way. Through God's power, Moses confronted Pharaoh, performed miraculous signs, and led the Israelites out of generations of brutal slavery in Egypt. What once seemed impossible for a man who once called himself a nobody became reality because God's presence turned his weakness into strength and his fear into courage. As believers, this story serves as a reminder that God still uses burning bushes in our lives. Moments that seem strange or out of place, but are meant to draw our attention back to Him. These moments may not come as literal flames, but they come as circumstances, opportunities, or even disruptions that make us pause and listen. When God speaks, He often does so in ways that shatter our expectations and leave us forever changed. This story also reminds us that when God calls us, He does so knowing every fear, every weakness, and every insecurity we carry. God doesn't choose us because we are perfect. He chooses us because His power is perfected in our imperfection. So today, choose to trust the one who sees more in you than you see in yourself. If you've learned something from this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Be blessed.